Hello. The name's Dion, and for some context, when I was little, I was like traumatized by the face of Regan from The Exorcist, because my sister showed me a screamer, and the screamer was her picture. And if you either don't know or forgot what the screamer is, it's basically this video. There were a lot of videos like it back in 2008, 2009, and they traumatized the fuck out of me. For the next few years, I couldn't like walk in the dark without either like screaming or just straight up running. And I forgot when I broke out of that. Recently, this year, I've gotten into horror. I've been watching a good amount of horror movies and stuff like that. And I wanted to watch the movie and see how it stacks up to today's, current movies. And at the same time, in a way, face my childhood fear and kind of know what the picture is all about as well. So, without wasting any more time, do I think The Exorcist holds up today as a great film? Yes, but I don't think The Exorcist holds up today for the same reasons that it did back then, for the vulgarity and the horror. I think in both of those aspects, The Exorcist is kind of tame. If you take The Exorcist for like the story that it tells, the story of a priest losing his faith, intertwining with the story of a mother who would do anything to save her daughter, I think the movie tells that story in such perfection, in my opinion, that I think it's worth watching for the experience of seeing that whole story unfold. To talk a little bit more about why I don't think the movie holds up today when it comes to vulgarity and horror. Well, for one, the premise of the movie when it comes to the horror is basically girl plays with Ouija board, gets possessed because of it. And it sounds a lot like The Conjuring 2. Hell, there's like a lot of scenes that are pretty similar. You have the final exorcism and the final scene in Conjuring 2 both being cold shots, both having like a really blue tone and shit flying all over the screen. You also have Ouija boards and young kids being possessed in both films. Tape recordings. Like the premise isn't that taboo. It's not too uncommon. The makeup, the effects, I really don't feel like it's too interesting, in my opinion. At least by today's standards. I just don't think a picture of Megan is something that is only available in The Exorcist like it used to back then. No movie really did what they did, but nowadays you have a lot of movies trying to replicate The Exorcist. Hell, there's so many movies that start with like the exorcism of yada yada yada. But there's so many things that this movie does tastefully that it's hard not to praise it because the movie is tells the story that it does so well, and the actors do such a great job as well. I think the cinematography was also really good. Like the point of every shot was, conveyed properly. And I think the pacing of the film was also really good. The movie doesn't play itself out like the current 80 to 90 minute horror movies you get nowadays. It's a work of art in on itself. I would personally just recommend the movie to anyone who's interested in seeing The Exorcist just because of how good the story of Father Damien and Regan and her mother are. I was also really rooting for the exorcism to be a success, because for the exorcism to be a success, it means Father Damien has regained his faith, which is something that he's been struggling with the entire movie, and it also means that the demon Pazuzu will leave Regan, and Regan and her mother can be reunited again. And after seeing Regan's mother go through everything, go from medical to religious solutions, you just really want her to finally have that moment, that cathartic moment, that everything she went through was for something, and that Father Damien has regained what he once lost. So, the movie, I honestly think it's kind of genius the way the movie got the culmination of both their stories and had it be tied into one event and have that event be the title of the movie is just perfect. It's a really great movie. I think The Exorcist is one of the best horror movies I've seen. You know, for the past few years, which basically means one of the best horror movies I've seen yet. Um, and like I would recommend this movie to anyone. Just I wouldn't lead people on to the impression that it's gonna be like like the modern horror movies we get nowadays. It's something that should be taken as a whole, and you're going to enjoy it a lot more like that. So that's about it. So bye.